What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. Today we are going to talk about recapping the event that I got to be at this past weekend, even though when you're seeing this, this will have happened a week and a half ago. But Music City Open, got to be there, got to caddy for a friend, and want to tell you guys about the experience and work on a little hitch I'm having right now. In the meantime, Jason, how are you doing today? Are you having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
So had the chance to go to Music City Open 2024. Music City, special place in my heart. Nashville, really big, fantastic disc golf scene up there. 2 years ago, 3 years ago? 2 years ago, I got to play in the Music City Open when it was still a Silver Series. I got to go to the Music City Open when it was a national tour event. Whew, that is tight. And so always get excited to get back there and experience that event. Last year I got to caddy for Brody, but as you guys know, Brody did not attend the event this year. And so I talked to a friend of mine. His name is Bo McLauglin. Bo is an MVP pro. We actually have had Bo on the channel. We did the bag swap during Vlogmas. I want to say it was like day 16 or something, where we did a bag swap. Bo is pretty fantastic, but Bo is an MVP pro who doesn't throw like a cajillion miles. I think often when we think of MPO, we think of people who throw super far, and like that's why they're MPO, but you can achieve 1,000 rated and get really good without simply having raw distance. Now the thing about Mill Ridge though is that they love to stretch it out. They love to make it really far. 11,500 something feet is how far the course was. And while there were several par fours, there was 8 different holes that were over 1,000 or over like 700 or 800 feet. Those holes, only 2 of them were par 5s, a lot of long par 4s. Yeah, just a challenging course. And so I asked Bo, like heading into it, hey, I'm caddying for you. What are your thoughts? What are your expectations on this? And he said that like truly, it wasn't even about like cashing or not cashing. Bo has been dealing with some mental struggles that I know several people deal with. And that is quite simply, when you feel like you cannot play golf up to the level that you know you are capable of playing to. And so we wanted to help Bo with that, be on the bag, try to distract and vibes and things like that. So I'll give a quick recap of like how that went and then some takeaways that I learned. Really, I think people should know about the Pro Tour because y'all, our sport is both far enough ahead and far enough behind. It's shocking. At the time that I'm filming this, Music City was last weekend, and I have an A tier in town called the Magic City Mega Bowl that is this upcoming weekend. And so I'm here at Inverness because I'll be playing the longs at this course 2 days in a row. We'd love to do almost like a Keep It 1000 vibe, aka shoot 1,000 rated golf in an actual sanctioned tournament. So first event back, we shot a 996, 995 rated round. Got to caddy for Bo. Bo already a vibe in himself. And our card day 1, we actually had Gannon Burr on the card, which was really fun. Made a push to be there last day, but he had a triple bogey. Got to see that in person. Okay, yeah. We're definitely, I can see where we're not hitting it. Got to see Gannon Burr. Day 2, we had Johnny McRae on the card, and then day 3, we had Matty O on the card. The big thing for Bo is, I think that one of the big things he was struggling with, and I mean, not even I think, I know, was putting. When he got to the green, he was not having putts feel good or go in. And that's an important distinction to make because sometimes your putt feels good and doesn't go in, and then other times your putt feels bad but does go in, and both of those are not great places to be. I would always rather have the putt feel good regardless of the result, but Bo's just kind of in a place where it's going in and he's okay with that. Like that, the result is there and he knows how to reproduce that, and so he's reproducing it, and he's like, when we end up in a smaller part of the season, we'll make or like a more dead part of the season, we'll make adjustments to get it back. And sometimes, y'all, triage is necessary. Like things aren't going well, you have got to fix it somehow. One of the big things that I'm struggling with is when I hit the disc well on backhand right now, I can feel it sort of ripping out of my hand. but I'm not trusting it to actually rip out. So I'm trying, my head is getting forward too much, which is causing me to look for the shot. And so then when the disc actually hits well, it's a massive grip lock to the right. And so that's not good. So I'm afraid of the grip lock to the right. So I'm loosening my grip and I'm losing it. When I go to hit anything with power, I'm losing it back here, which is causing a soft fluff. We're in a weird world with the backhand right now where it literally seems like every other round I'm like, oh my gosh, my backhand's fantastic. And then the next round I'm like, wow, I hate backhand. Why do I do this? At the end of the day, here's the thing with Bo. And when it came down to the course, is Bo played some really good golf and I was really proud of him. There were a couple of times, I know he has said that like that mental struggle to compete and get there. His putt, he was making putts, he was performing, he was bouncing back like a bad shot. I think in particular, I want to say it was round 2 or 3, his tee shot on hole 3 went, or on hole 4 went maybe 60 feet off the tee, hit basically like the first available in the gap and shot into a really terrible place. And his words immediately were, well, we can save the par from there. Okay. And that's exactly what he did. And I think that's something about top pros, whether they're on the tour or not, top pros are always finding ways to stay in the moment. So yeah, top pros, they find a way to compete, they find a way there. But one thing that like we need to pay attention to is for this course, on course fatigue. Bo was playing really well and usually he played the front half of the course extremely well. But we were struggling on the back 9. For instance, on round 2, he was 5 under heading into the last 2 holes and then ended 1 under on the round. So that takes me to, I think, something that like a shocking fact about the Disc Golf Pro Tour. When I got there and I realized. So I caddy for Bo and they do a really good job of trying to add professionalism to the tour, which means that if you are caddying for anyone, caddies are required. Okay. You are required to wear a caddy bib. And so they have just a bunch of like stock bibs that say caddy on them. But as I'm walking around, I'm noticing there are lots of people who have like their name printed on the bib. And so at first I'm like, okay, why does this person have their name printed on the bib? Because if I'm being 100% honest, I am a guy who knows a lot about disc golf. It's kind of my job. And by kind of, I mean, it is my job. But I'm seeing all these different names of people who have their name printed out. And I'm like, I feel bad for this, but like, I have no idea who you are. And the people who are playing around the tour, they know. And they know each other because they're doing this week in and week out. And why is that? Because they are tour card holders. And I think when we think the word tour card, we think this like super elite top level thing. But it's certainly not as elite, or at least it doesn't feel as elite when you're out there as it actually is. So I was walking with Bo, one of his good friends is Cadence Birch, who is sponsored by Discmania, AM World winner, NADGT winner. Cadence comes and walks with us and I asked like, what does the printed name mean? Does that mean they have a tour card? And they were like, yeah, either they have a full card or they have a silver card. So I started inquiring like, okay, well, how many people have these cards? Because if we're thinking there's about 115 people in the field in MPO every week, and there's anywhere from 30 to 60 in the FPO field. So with numbers like that, we're talking, yeah, anywhere from 130 to 180 people-ish in the field every week. And they told me, you can look up the tour card numbers because how you register for it is you just simply go on Disc Golf Scene, and there it is. People register, like they have the opportunity. It's a private registration, but it's public visibility. Between tour cards, full tour cards, and silver cards, where silver cards you get in, I believe it's 4 to 6 events. You get to pick them, but 4 to 6 events. Forgetting the number right now because I'm distracted and there's lots of things going on around here. I'm pretty sure it's close to 180 people between FPO and MPO that have a tour card of some fashion. And I want you to try to play a game. I want you to try to just sit there and write out FPO and MPO players that you know that are currently touring, not like previously touring like Will Schustrick or something like that. And for lots of people, that list is probably, if you're like super invested, that list is probably gonna stop in like the 60 or 70 range. And you haven't touched a third of the people that have tour cards. Thus bringing me to like a challenging, it challenged my thought on this, because the fields in these Disc Golf Pro Tour events are basically being filled out majority by people that have tour cards of some capacity. I think that that's necessary. I think that the ability to like test what you want to do on, let's say, a Silver Series, or test what you want to do on a qualifying series, a Q series now, right? That's a great opportunity. When you watch the NBA finals are not finals, NBA playoffs are happening right now, and there's some dude that you're watching who's playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and you're like, that dude seems like he's really not that good. But if we took that guy and pulled him out of the NBA, he would mop anyone in like a one-on-one type deal. So I'm thinking to myself, that has to be the case with these tour card holders. Are these guys who are filling out the bottom 2/3 of the field, are they actually like insane? Are they goated and they just don't look that great because of who they're playing against? Or is the threshold to get in actually lower than we think? You just simply have to be willing to kind of forego the cost, or if you can afford it, you can tour. Because in full transparency, I think that's kind of the vibe. If you're willing to give it a go, it's very doable. Now that's not saying that if you're like 940 rated that, yeah, you can just go make it on tour. I don't think that the gap's that large, but honestly, the vibe that I got was like, if you're willing to pay, that's what the Pro Tour wants. The Pro Tour right now just needs bodies, which is interesting. There it is, okay. Feel it a little more, weight in the hit a little bit more, Crawford. And feel that hit come out. That's a stable disc. Okay. Why? I'm hitting those so much more powerfully. Why is that happening? So Bo, not a schmuck. Bo is better than me, and it's not close. So I think Bo has a chance to like not only go there, but perform well on the tour. That's Bo right there in the distance. Maybe we can interview Bo. We'll ask him how he felt about his performance overall. But I think looking at the field, if Bo has a way to like get on tour, it would only make him better, because he'd be in the gauntlet. He'd be going over it over and over again. If you're an aspiring hopeful, to me, build up your game. But the most important thing you could do if you want to make it on tour is find a way to sustain being on tour that isn't your play. Because the people that are stressed week to week trying to make cash, that's going to be tough. If you're Bonanza and you have the channel going, and it doesn't matter how you perform each week, to a degree, make it happen. And the stress is going to be way easier. And it's not a matter of if, it's just when. The big thing I would say for Bo is that course just didn't suit his game. And so sometimes reflecting on your round matters. Because we could look at the collapse Bo had on the last few holes and be like, oh, that was tough. But at the same time, it was fatigue. It truly was his arm giving out. That's what caused him to struggle at the end, not a lack of ability or things like that. And it's because the course didn't suit his game. But put him on like Idlewild, where he can hit lines, he can be technical, and it doesn't require such demanding shots. I think Bo's got a chance to shock the world right there. Yeah, see, such a difference maker. Just trusting, pulling it sort of across. Two more things we want to talk about that were Music City, and I feel like, we had Saturday morning. You guys may have seen play got suspended. For those of you who play a lot of events, you'll know that there's like code for air horns and things like that. Usually they'll fire the horn off once for 2 minutes, which means that play's about to begin in 2 minutes. So you can't throw without incurring a penalty stroke within inside of that. They'll blow the horn again at the end. That's the start of the round. Usually shotgun starts do this, but 3 horns in a row is a lightning delay, right? So we're there, 9 o'clock in the morning. It's cold, but it's clear skies. And then we hear 3 horns go off. And I'm like, is there a lightning delay? I look at Jason, who was vending there, and I like walk out, check the sky, and I'm like, that's not lightning. And then someone, Taco from Lone Star, goes around and he's like, hey everyone, just so you know, players are coming off the course, play is stopped. Everyone's still allowed to be in Vendor Village, but play is stopped. Okay, well, play stopped. That's important. Like, that's a good thing to know. Why? And so I asked Taco, because I'm friends with Taco, like, what's going on? He's like, hey, I'll be back. Because they try to keep it hush-hush as to, and very importantly, not raise concern. Natalie Ryan had had some threats made against her. At this point, didn't just concern her. The threats were made about if she were to continue playing, then someone was going to be causing a lot of danger to everyone at the event. This now went beyond her. I guess in an effort of Natalie Ryan's doing nothing wrong. She's playing within the rules that the DGPT has announced. She's playing inside the rules. So we can't say that she's cheating, can't say that anything's wrong, because she is playing inside of the rules. That is a fact. The philosophy major in me completely agrees with that. She is playing within the rules set in front of her. Why are we still upset with that? The rules need to change if you disagree with that situation, things like that. Just like all the people who are like becoming keyboard warriors and calling people out for like, oh, you were short, or like you're violating jump putts, things like that. Everyone's highlighting Kristen Tatar and all of it. So she's playing there. And it was a little scary. It was scary for, I have so much respect for the FPO players who went out round 2 and shot a hot round, because the truth getting out to the players first and then slowly leaking its way to the public, I don't know that I would have the mental wherewithal to get back into a round after that. So mad props to the FPO field for getting out there. I think from the ground standpoint, it was just more confusion than anything. People were like, what's going on? Because while the internet got a hold of it really fast, in the moment, it wasn't as obvious to the fans and things like that. So we were there vending with Foundation. Jason and I were running the booth. Hunter showed up for about an hour each day to hang out. And it was, I'm not gonna say it was frightening, because the DGPT did a really good job of like keeping everything under control and really highlighting it as a weather thing. To the people on the ground, obviously a statement was made, but yeah, that was fascinating. I hate that Nashville gets that reputation now. I hate that the South gets that reputation now. And above all, I hate that it happened. Someone thought this is the right choice to say something like that, to threaten someone like that. That's terrible. Whether you agree with people or not and what they're doing, people are people, and we deserve to treat people like people. Tough. I think the longer the day went on, the more it settled with that. And I think that someone thought truly that is the right course of action. So we got Bo McLauglin here. I've been talking about him the whole time. Bo, welcome back.
Hey there. It's a nice day out here. I wish it was this calm when we played this weekend. But
I threw like 2. I was throwing warm-ups to try to land on this island, because I think honestly it's been a really fun like practice thing to warm up and try to park them here. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that in the state of Alabama in the months of March and April, we just aren't allowed to play disc golf unless it's 20-mile-an-hour winds. Like that just feels to be the day. So I've shared a lot about my side of my experience so far. So if you want to give a couple thoughts on like how you felt about the weekend.
I played 14 holes really well every single day. Maybe 13 only, because 14, I missed that gap a couple times. And on that 15th hole, every single time I went to throw a forehand, I would feel like soreness already setting in, because I mean, I had thrown probably 10 hard thrown forehands the entire day already. So the fact that I had to throw a lot more, people kept calling that a lefty course, and I felt like the amount of times I had to throw a power forehand didn't make me feel like it was a lefty course.
I think like people look at par 4s and 5s and they're like, oh, it's just placement golf. It's placement golf. But it was placement golf for far throwers. Like you could cheat that course if you had power hyzers the whole way. I mean, think about who we had on the card day 3, like Matty O. Yeah. And so you get to the end and it's physical exhaustion setting in, mental exhaustion setting in on those last 4 holes, and reflecting on the round as an MPO player who like local, you show up to stuff and people are like, okay, like I look at a weekend like we're about to walk into, and I'm like, there's like 4 or 5 names that I'm thinking, okay, they're the ones to look out for. And you're obviously one of them. You play well out here. Talk about that like mental versus physical exhaustion during a round.
Most of the time, my exhaustion is mental, because it's like half of the battle for me is just like, I know what I should be doing and it annoys me if I don't do it. But then when I start to get to a point where I'm physically exhausted, like on hole 15 and 16, and then I throw a bad shot, then it's starting to leak in of like, okay, now it's really annoying because I can't control it anymore. But then I'm still also having to lose the battle of like, nobody else really is having to throw that full power forehand except for like a couple of the other lefties. But they're also more used to it than I am.
That's true. You got the Clemonades of the world who are like, oh yeah, no, I do this. I have to do this every single week. Yeah. How that man's shoulder still exists
beyond me.
I don't know. This weekend for me, I don't know why, because I loved getting to meet fans. I love getting to meet y'all, and like that's so cool. It was just, for some reason, this event was more eye-opening to the current state of the tour to me than ever before. So for someone that gets to experience a lot more Pro Tour events, obviously riding along, as Joe Mesh tried to push the narrative this weekend of, you're famous for being a caddy. We know more than that. But what is something that like you think people would be surprised to know about the Pro Tour?
Besides the amount of people that really have tour cards and go to these events, I think they would be surprised to see, like, honestly, how good some of the players are, even like the ones who aren't touring. Like, I had a bad weekend for myself, which was a 995-ish weekend. But, like, they would see that and be like, oh, 995 is not that bad. But I finished in the bottom 20% of the field.
Yeah.
Because that just shows how good the field is.
Yeah. Well, dude, I appreciate it. Thanks for the weekend, man.
It was a fun time, even though the playing wasn't as well. It was still an enjoyable 18 holes every day. Even if we had the little bit of drama at one point, the rest of the time it was still an awesome time.
We didn't mention that or throw any names under the bus, but it was. I felt it was interesting. To me, that's another shocking part, is that some of the players that like have a certain persona on camera, or that you think, it's just not always that way, especially when you're not playing good golf.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, let's wrap it up, y'all. I mean, I'm just telling you, if you haven't had the opportunity to get out and go check out a Pro Tour event, do it. You're going to be surprised. You're going to love it. Like, it's going to be a good time. While the Gannons and the ABs of the world are the ones that everyone's like, oh, I want to learn from them. I want to be with them. They're a lot harder to connect with. Find the Brandon Browns, the Tony Moes, who are also completely qualified and fantastic disc golfers, and learn to connect with them and learn from them. A guy that I talked to a lot was Paul Kranz, who lots of people know Paul from his vlogs with Simon. I got to meet Paul a couple different times in person, and I'm looking at Paul and I'm like, dude, you're so good. You're so good. A literal major winner. You know who's not a major winner? Simon. If you want more recaps, if I end up at more events, I'll be at Worlds, I'll be at USDGC this year, and hopefully trying to get to Idlewild. So if you want more thoughts like that, let us know what you're looking for so that I can try to capture those moments. So in the meantime, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Please make it fantastic for someone else too.
For now, we'll leave you with the birdie.
Bang.